Good morning. We are here. I'm filling in for a day here. We are here, Kufay and Aleph, starting Kufay and Aleph, Hilchos Ribis, Sif Aleph, one Sif. Yisrael shalav amos me'elvik lechovin. Yisrael borrowed money from a non-Jew, beribis, v'zakfon alav b'milveh, and he was zakif alav b'milveh. I mean, we had this in the last simon. What it means is basically you take whatever at a certain point he takes. Let's say he borrowed ribbit. He borrowed with ribis. I mean, he borrowed $1,000 plus a 10% whatever. So at this point, let's say he owes him $1,500. So at that point he says, okay, so now you owe me $1,500. It's called zakaf b'milveh. That whatever money, it stops it from like going up, and that's called, now this whole thing now is your chayiv. When this gayer, and then the non-Jews, the gayrus im ad shel nis gayer zakaf b'milveh. If before he was megayer, he said, okay, fine, 1,500. That's what you owe me. So then goiva karen v'ribis. He can take the karen and ribis because that was he sort of. I'll say he stopped the loan, but that's that was he made a kilo new loan, and that the old loan with karen and ribis stopped when he was a goy. The imnish is gayer zakfan olav b'milveh, but if he did it after he was megayer. Because then, once he became a ger, once he popped out of the mikveh, suddenly this ribis is whatever this ribis was also for him to collect. Even the loan was from before, but the ribis now becomes usher, and since he didn't qualify before before he became a ger, so therefore it's usher. Shalava mi Yisrael, but a non-Jew goy who borrows money from Yisrael beribis, zakaf alav is a ribis b'milveh, and the Yisrael again did like about 1,500. That's now it's zakaf b'milveh. Aval pisha zakfan alav achar shneis gayer, even though they made the zikuf. After he was megayer, goiva is a keres a ribis. Then he can be goiva the keres and the ribis. Shelo yoimru. So people shouldn't say bishvil ma'osav this guy is that. It's again. This is people shouldn't say that that the reason he was megayer. Let's say the guy got into like serious debt. This guy he had a loan going on for 10 years, and this guy. This guy is, his ribis, exponential ribis over here. So people shouldn't say, he was begayer, because this is a great way to go ahead and get out of debt, right? New program, the debt, So people shouldn't say that. Begoiva Yisrael imenu. Well, no, it's not because he was. The loan was made when he was a goy, so therefore, technically, it's right. So the thing is that we said before, after he's gayer, he shouldn't collect because I think it's also only it could be it's also only the Rabbanan. Right, that's the thing. Lashon of the Shach is Achaim Tiknu Leilech Achar Zikifa Lahachmir. This whole Betza Midaraisa. If he was goyva, he wouldn't have to give it back, even if the goy was lent it after he's gayer. But it just looks. Chachamim said it doesn't look so good. On the second side, though, people shouldn't say that this guy was the gayer because he wants to get himself out of debt. So therefore, we say we fall back to the din daraisa that he can goyva both. Goyva yisel mimenu achar shenis gayer. V'chol mal saribis shenischayev behen k'shehaya. All the money that he was chayiv when he was a goy, he has to pay. So this shouldn't be an incentive for him. It should be clear that this is not why he's becoming a ger.
That means that he was mischayev into the future, or that
It's ribbis. He was mechayev to pay.
What was accrued to the date of the gift?
No, whatever. It doesn't make a
Whatever
difference.
was projected.
Whatever was projected, or right, whether it was this one lump, whether he told him 100 to give him back 200, or whether it's a rising rate, whatever it is, he has to pay everything back. Okay. On Kufayim Beis, this is a little bit complicated. This is the sugya of mashkanta. What's in the Gemara is called the mashkanta. Now, this has nothing to do with doesn't really have anything to do with we call in this country what they call mashkanta, because it's the case of the Gemara is mashkanta is a case where someone borrowed money and then gave the field house, whatever we'll see in a minute, to the malve to manage, like a mashka. Right. Well, in this country, a mortgage is not it doesn't it's a loan, and there's a shibud on the land. There's a lien on the land, but it doesn't mean. But the bank isn't the bank is not managing the property. It's not getting profits from the property. It's not renting your property out. It's not doing anything like that. So this is it's a little misleading here. You say mashkanta, you say whatever. It's not. This is a case of where he gave the land to the malva, and the malva is managing the land.
But in both cases, both in Aruch and Gemara, the original owner of the land can't sell it without first paying off mashkata.
He could be. He might even be allowed to. I don't think it's. I don't think it's. Technically, he has allowed to, but it could be that I don't think the other guy can kick the first guy out. I'm not. Whatever. Yeah, but it could be he can. But that's Choshen Mishpat. That's not. That's not so much over here. We're not going to deal with that where he. There is a situation where if he does sell it, if he's whatever that I saw, but but we have to go through this. There's a few different types. I have to give a hakdama here because this is it's not so nogea, but this is a complicated sif. I'll call upon him. Give a hakdama. There's a few different types of mashkantas. Starting with there's a mashkanta. There's a mashkanta called. Let's start with mashkanta de surah. The mashkanta they used to do in surah was that he would give the malva a field. He would give them the field, and he would say, okay, our loan is for 5 years. After 5 years, you take the leva gets the sada back, and every year he pays the lova a certain amount, and the malva every year he doesn't pay him anything. He says, okay, listen, I'm lending you money. You get the field for 5 years. This is our deal, and that's it. And after 5 years, it goes back, and everyone's happy. That's one type of mashkanta. He pays nothing. Okay. So we're going to see that's mutter came out all the days. That's
Make it a sale.
Right. Okay. So the thing with mashkanta is we're going to see. So I'll explain really the way Chazal looks at mashkanta desur is really it's a schirus. Really, he's paying the guy a mikdama. He's paying him up front for 5 years. He's paying him a certain, even if it's cheaper than the usual renting, but he pays him a certain amount. Now he gets to rent it for 5 years. That's how Chazal view. It's a prepaid. Even though
the loan can't decide after 2 years of paying off the loan and paying.
So we're gonna get to that also. Okay, we're talking about that he can't, where the lover can't kick him out, and he has it for 5 years. So it's Kilu made a rental agreement. That's how the perspective changes. That's how they view it, and therefore it's okay. Now, moving on from Mashkanta de Surah is it's called Mashkanta de Nechiyasa. Mishkanta de Nichiasa is a case where he gave him a Mishkanta and he takes profits from it, takes payers from it, and whatever he takes, he deducts from the loan. It slowly pays off the loan.
There may not even be a term.
Right. Until the loan gets paid off, basically. Then there's a couple other points. I'll go through this 5 or 6 different shitas about which is the ikr, like which is the ikr heter. Now, then there's another type which is the chiluk between asra de masalki and asra de lo masalki, meaning asra is a place. Right, a place where the loiva can be paid the karka whenever he wants. Asa de lo masalki is a place where the minig is that the loiva cannot be paid the field whenever he wants. He has a set time, and there's nothing to do in that time. One of the riots they bring for Asa de masalki or discussion is Tosis brings is Batay Arichoma. The Gemara in Erechin says Batay Arichoma is ribis, but the Torah was matir. Because they sold the house for a year, and he has the right to go ahead and be poda it, and be poda the house. And this guy, is living in the house, so he's getting payers of staying in the house for free, and this guy can be poda it. It's a question we're going to see different understandings of what the Gemara means. But that's the idea of Asra de Masalki. He can be poded whenever he wants, and Asra de Lo Masalki, he can't be. The last chiluk, which is discussed, is really in the Rambam.
Is that in both Mishkan and Surah?
We're gonna get it. Everything starts mixing up into a big cholon. So I'm starting off with the cholim, and then we'll start going through. The last question. Is there a chiluk between a soda and a bias? The Rambam says there is. It's based on 2 different Gemaras. That by a soda, since profits are not definite, right? Let's say it doesn't make anything 1 year. Let's say he does. Mashayin by a bias, rent is kavua. Doesn't make a difference. You live in someone's house, you pay rent. That's it could be meichel, but it's. Oh, okay. So that's Rebbeinu Tam. Rebbeinu Tam says, so that's the Rambam. And the Rambam and the Rashba, whatever, they say that by Soda there's more risk involved about not being able to actually get ribis. It's not clear he's going to get ribis, so therefore knocks it down to the Rabbanon. It's not deraisa. Whereas the Rambam says a bias is ribis ksutza. The Rebbeinu Tam's cholik. The Rebbeinu Tam says that the house can fall down also. It can fall down, but the Rambam the Torah is not choshish for such a thing. So and so now I have to go through the different chilukim, and we'll start the Shulchan Aruch. So the first shita is we'll start with let's say start with the Rif. The Rif holds that the only mashkanta which is mutter is mashkanta desura. Everything else is ribis. Everything else, even the chiyasa maybe is only the rabbanon, but anything else is going to be that he's taking. If it's without the chiyasa, then it's the risk sutza, and if he deducts, then it's only Mr. Rabbanon. But al kapanim, it's considered ribis unless it's like a mishkata desur, which we said is basically just a rental agreement. It can be viewed as a rental agreement. Is mutter according to the rif, right? That's the first shita. And that's the
What's the start to Asr the Yasna?
Because it's the chiyasa is because even though he can take it up, he's still getting payers. He's still getting payers from this for being able to have the field. It's the rabbanon. It's not. Even though he's been not he's he takes off money, it's still nechshav a halva where he's getting something, even though he's going to take it off. But it's the fact that he takes it off is not necessarily cancel out the fact that he's taking. That's how the Rif use it.
Only sewer is what
According to the Rif, yeah. The Ravid, let's go through it. Yeah, then you have the Rashi, who holds that. Or we'll go through the Seder of the Gra. 1 second. Then you have on the other hand you have the das of the Rambam, like I mentioned before, is that the Iker question is it sada or bias? It depends on whether there is a certain amount of risk or not. By bias, he says there's nothing to talk about. Is always is ribis. If it's mitchiasa, it's ribis derabanan. By a sada, with nichiasa, then it drops down to. Then it would drop down. Then it would depend on. 1 second. Right. Without nichiasa, the Rambam holds is clearly deraisa. The nichiasa just makes it deraisa derabanan. That's the only chiluk.
Sunday bias, not so for the Rambam?
The soda by Rambam holds the bias is deraisa. Soda is derabanan. Soda with nichiasa would be mutter, because that knocks it like it's kilos to the rabbanans going down. The Rashi holds the ikar chiluk is asr de masalki, asr de lo masalki, because he holds that the whole thing depends on whether he can be, if he can't be masalikim, then if he can be masalikim, it shows it's a loan. It shows clearly this is a loan. I can pay back the loan and get it back. So if he's taking payers, that's ribis. But if he can't be masalikim, then he has no right to be poded then it's much more of a sale. And if that also depends. If there's nichiyasa, if there's nichiyasa, asra de lo. Asra the Masalki, Asra, 1 second. Asra the Lo Masalki, with Nichiasa would be mutter. The last another sheet is Sarajba, who holds that any Nichiasa is mutter. Anytime you menakish from the chov, it's not considered. It's not considered you're actually taking anything, and therefore he says that if it's been nechiyasa, so if it's a asra, that nechiyasa is going to be matir. So that to say that nechiyasa is a filu asra de masalki is mutter. Without nichiasa, then deraisa derabana depends if it's misalki or not misalki, right? So nichiasa, which is the ikar matir over here. Yeah, the Rashba holds that anything with nichiasa means he's not really taking payers. So if it's a asa, if it's nichiasa, it's mutter, basically, no matter what. If it's not been nichiasa, so then it depends if it's the misalki, lo misalki, depends on that, if that's ribis derabban or ribis deraisa. Yeah, so let's start going through. There's another sheet to Sarayvid. We get a little bit confusing about that. He combines another couple of things. He says it has to be lo masalki, and the chiyah, two things together. Let's just see the mechaber, a few minutes. Someone who lends his friend, and he gives him, he's mashkin him, bias or sada. In order that he should eat the payers the whole day, the whole time of the mashkan. The hainu. If it's mashkanta the surah, that is the mashkan alo the shani yuduos. He gives it to him he's mashkin him for a certain number of years, 5 years, let's say. Because the mishlam shneim, when the years finish, alin tepuk ara below kesef. This karka goes right back to the owner without money. Afilu marchiv azman harbe, even if it's for 20 years, she'ein megia l'kol shana el davar mu'ah, that it's spread out, that he lent him $50,000 over 50 years, and in Bechal, it's not really worth, you're talking, it ends up being a davar mu'at of kilo of renting davar mu'at, could go shalveu maneh, the histimo, she'achar esr shanim tachzar karkazu, let's say it's even less, it's a maneh for 10 years, right? And it comes out, it gives him pennies every year. Talking about a big difference. B'chol shana muter she'ein zek el k'misha sachar b'pachos. It's even about cheap rent. L'cheinim hisne bal karka imo sheb'chol zman sheyirtze haloive l'salko sheyavi lo mos. And even if the bal karka said, okay, whenever you pay that, you can go ahead and take it away. V'yachshav lo eser b'chol shana v'yisalko meyasade o meyabayis who yachshav lo shartami v'istalik muter. Even if he can come and he can say, listen, make it tonight, he can come and be misalik him and be poded, that's going to be okay. Since the malva has no way to go ahead and to be goive, he has no power in the situation to be goive anything. This is called a schirus. The malva has no koch gvia, even if the loba can be poded, but still it doesn't. The malva has no koch, so that's not called a loan. Haga. Let's just see the other sheet here before we stop. Yeshayim dafilu below mashkanta desur yesh heter. This is the sheet of mechaber goes like the Rif and even about the many Rishonim, most Rishonim are moda the mashkanta desur is mutter. So therefore, that's the mechaber goes the hachmir. The Ramal goes v'yeshamrim. Well, he's machmir. The only mashkanta desur is mutter. Right. V'yeshamrim dafilu below mashkanta desura yesh heter l'loive ketzad im haloive hilva l'zman kotzev kach v'kach shanim. He lends it for a certain number of years. Im haloive yuchol l'salko toch hazman. If he can put it within the, redeem it within the time, menakila kol shana v'shana, and he can go ahead and do a nikui every year. Afilu davar muad. So we're talking about it's to visalki, and he can menak it. Afilu davar muad. The zel mikri mishkanta b'nichyasa shari. Any mishkanta b'nichyasa is shari in a place where he can be podeh. Ve'im lo menakile klum aser. But if it's not nichyasa, it's aser. And if he can't be misalakim at all, tochazman afilu below nichias shari. However, this is in the case where he can be misalakim. In the case where he cannot be misalakim, like I said, this is what Rashi holds as the ikr. If he can't be misalakim, then it's mutter completely. There's no difference between whether he can be pulled it or not. And both of them, whether it's as long as b'nichias is the Rashba, as long as he's knocking off from the loan, then it's mutter, and if not, then it's aser. That we should go after the minig. And these countries, and this is the Rashba. This is going from the Rashba. Even talking in Spain, not just in Ashkenaz. The minig in general was to go ahead and be meiko that anything with the chiyasa feel yachal salik is mutter. Ve'ein chiluk b'zeh bein sada l'bayis, and there's no difference between a house and a field, like Rabbeinu Tam, something it could fall down, and therefore there is no difference. Or sharmataltalin, the bechom the din in nichiasa shari is everything which has been nichiasa shari, and that's our general remekel. If he takes Paris and he has been naki and he takes it off the chov, then that's not considered ribis, and that's going to be mutter.
Got it.
Uh,